back down to simplifying microfiber, okay? And how fast it could scratch a car if used inappropriately, okay? People have to remember, people are like, yeah, well, microfiber is the best. And you ask them, well, why do you use microfiber? What does microfiber do? I don't know, it's just really good. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, no, it is good, but the reason it is because there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of fibers within here, okay? And it picks up a lot of stuff. Well, if it's picking it up, it's not going anywhere. So you need to either make sure to either blow it out with air, depending on what job you're doing on a car, or make sure to thoroughly rinse it and then use the bottom of the grit guard to be able to agitate it a little bit more just to knock anything that it's picking up out. Microfiber is a very underestimated tool when it comes to the capability of what microfiber is meant to do. So just remember that when moving forward with microfiber. Now, people might be like, oh, well, what's the difference between this grade, and this really fluffy one? Okay, well, one, it has to do with price, okay? But it's not so about quality. It's more so with thicknesses. You'll notice that the thicker the microfiber is are usually the more expensive ones, okay? And there's a reasoning behind that. One, because of production costs and stuff of that nature. Like I said, I use this on 55% of every car that I do, okay? I don't do my final spray wax wipe with this one because it's gonna re-scratch the surface, okay? But I would do a spray wax application with something similar to this. It's fluffier, okay, to say the least, when it comes to the yellow one, and it picks up a fair amount of dirt, but since you're increasing on the fluffiness, when it comes to maybe a smear mark, okay, from like a spray wax, you may not be able to get it off with this, okay? You might be like, oh, well, it's more expensive, it should get that smear off. No, it's because it's softer, so it's having trouble picking up that smear, okay? One very unknown thing, okay, is if you're putting a spray wax on your car, okay, and it starts smearing, okay, it's probably because your panel's too hot, or something's going on in the environment where it's causing the paint to not like what it's doing. Smear marks on cars usually isn't the product not doing its job, it's the paint saying, stop it, I don't like what you're doing to me, okay? We'll see it a lot when you throw on a concourse wax or a sealant, where you'll see it's called off-gassing, or sort of like the smoky look after you just got your car all done, and it has like just trails of just like weird smoky cloudiness. You're like, what is that? It looks oily. And even, I don't know if people have seen this before, but there have been times where you'll wipe it off and it'll pop right back. And that's what off-gassing is, okay? It's basically the paint is screaming, saying that it doesn't like what you're doing to it, and it's having difficulty bonding that wax to the surface, okay? A way to stop that pretty much completely is take a bottle of spray water, take a little water, put it right on there, and then you wipe it off, and you're basically diluting the product a little bit, which helps with that, as well as basically just leveling the product so it's not as heavily concentrated in certain areas, and that's usually will do the trick, okay? Same thing with those smudge marks after you put a spray wax on. A little spritz of just cool water will be able to knock that right out, okay? One thing people think too, okay, usually, is people will use a towel like this and be like, oh, it's linting, it's terrible, what's going on? Always think about what's happening during the course of your maintenance scheme, and more than likely it's going to be environmental, okay? Meaning it goes back to tens of hundreds of thousands of little fibers going across, okay, which tend to pick up things, okay. Sort of like, think about when you get out of a shower, okay, and if you've ever had a towel that kind of sheds on you, and you're like, what the heck? It's because your skin is open and drags and stuff. If you took that same towel and did it on a clean, dry surface, it probably wouldn't have even the remotely as much tendency to lint, okay. Usually when I have a linting problem, it's because of the environment of which I'm operating in, whether it's very humid or what is called the paint is sweating because it just came out from, I just washed it, I'm rushing and I had to wash it and then I immediately had to start polishing and I wipe the polish off and it starts to lint the rag, okay? So not to say that sometimes if you've been using, if this towel's great in the same environment and then starts linting 9 months from the first time you used it, then probably means that the towel is at the end of its life and to disregard it and just get a new one, okay? But if you have a towel that has been used similar to this, maybe like 2 or 3 times and it starts to lint on you, it's not the towel, it's the environment in which you're detailing in, okay? Something of this nature, okay, it's multi-purpose. It's great for a drying towel, okay, as well as a quick detailer application. Now you'll notice on this towel, the fiber feels, I think it's the same. But what you'll notice is that on certain, these ones are a good example. There's 2 different types of fibers on this towel. One's a longer, one's a shorter, okay? Usually when it comes to picking up lint, if you don't have access to air, the best thing to do is to use a shorter, tighter knit microfiber and it'll pull the lint off, okay? But just know that when you usually go with a shorter, tighter microfiber weave, they're usually on thinner towels, so you sort of have to compensate for your plan of attack. Okay, you can't use as much pressure when you're trying to take that lint off. Okay, lint could also be caused by static charge, which I know a lot of guys who go to concourse events usually deal with, because they're like, Andy, it's lint and it's going crazy. There's dust. It's just like immediately is drawn to my car. What the heck? It's usually because the guys just put a coat of wax on the night before, and there is what's known as a setting period with wax. Okay, which usually takes, I've seen, as long as 48 to 72 hours for it to actually stop the static charge, and the static charge is from when it's bonding to the surface, the wax, okay? So the way to cause that from not happening would be to, again, the water trick that I explained, or maybe a quick detailer, which has a little alcohol-based properties in it. Most quick detailers have a hint of it anyways. So you'd be able to drop the static charge like that, okay?